Well, there's some new news out on Sweden, and we've been talking lately about France. We've been talking about Norway. Well, it's just a domino effect when one country starts to dissolve religions or a religion. And in Sweden, I think there's a few religions that are perhaps not going to make it. So we're going to look at a couple of articles. Thanks to watching Watchtower for pulling this stuff up to us here, and just want to give these guys a big thanks. There's their logo, watching Watchtower. Okay, so the first article is from Sveriges Radio. Sveriges Radio. I don't know if the S is silent, but it's Jehovah's vittnen. This is how you say it in Sweden. So, Jehovah's Witnesses may be without government subsidies. This isn't the first time, by the way. This has been ongoing in Sweden. The Jehovah's Witness community may have left without government funding, may be left without government funding, now that the new law on state support for religious communities has been amended. The new law requires, among other things, that communities may not exclude anyone based on their choice of life partner. Did you get that, folks? Which Jehovah's Witnesses do. So, if you wanted a life partner of the same sex, you cannot do that in Jehovah's Witnesses. You cannot even remarry, if you don't have all this proof of if you're of a divorce. They really scrutinize marriage in their religion, so they're not going to make it on that law. So the new law requires that, so Jehovah's Witnesses would have to make a lot of changes to match up to that law. And the freelance journalist Joanna Burin has previously met with the witnesses, Tilla, who thinks it's not obvious that the organization should receive government support. So that's what we have in that article. The next article is from the Katolskt Magasin. It says several religious communities lose government subsidies after the new rules. A number of the smaller religious communities have lost their government grants after new rules were introduced at the turn of the year, reports in newspaper Dagen. And most are due to having too few members. So you got to have 2,500 members. So they must have had a lot of little charity religions or something. Now it says, by the way, Jehovah's Witnesses have I think when I checked, over 22,000 in Sweden. They have a lot of people there. Now, it says the new rules stipulate that all communities that receive government grants must meet what is called democracy condition. It's defined as a tool to ensure that the state does not finance activities that conflict with the society's fundamental values. In addition, the number of people served, i.e. members or regular visitors, must be more than 2,500. And in addition, the community must have operated in Sweden for at least 5 years and have the majority of its operations financed by residents of the community. And according to Dagen, the SST authority, which will process application for the state grant starting this year, has so far denied 15 of the 45 communities that applied, including the Seventh-day Adventist Church and a number of Orthodox and Protestant minority churches, such as the Danish and Latvian churches. Sorry about that. And at the same time, the SST's investigation into a number of other communities is still ongoing, including the Humanists, who were granted the right to register as a religious community, and Jehovah's Witnesses, who have received state grants since 2019. So it looks like there's a lot happening in Sweden. They're cleaning things up. The government's getting tired of funneling money to these religions. So you wonder how much money that they're getting. That's a question I asked. I did a little bit of research. We don't know for sure what the money's on the table for coming up, but we do know from past history it was just under $2 million for Jehovah's Witnesses, 2 million a year. That's a Swedish krone. So 1 million SEK is about 90,000 USD, and 2 million would be about 180,000 USD. So that kind of sums it up. It's not really a whole lot of money. Is it worth fighting over? I don't know. And that I could be a way off, but that's just what my research pulled up. Okay, so getting back to the summary here. Right. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses, they may lose their state funding under the Sweden's newly adopted law. And the law explicitly prohibits religious communities from excluding people based on their choice of life partner. So that's a big one. And under the new law, a religious community must not discriminate or violate fundamental rights. Discriminate or violate. So if you walk away from the religion, you should not be discriminated or shunned. It must also maintain a minimum of 2,500 people. These are people that regularly go, JWs will meet that. Key question, do Jehovah's Witnesses' internal practices, shunning, refusal of blood transfusions, internal judicial meetings, or doctrines against participation with other religions put them in conflict with these standards? Well, yes. Historically, Swedish courts have already challenged JW's eligibility under former funding laws over issues like discouraging voting and refusing blood transfusions for children. So this has already been in their courts. But under the new law, the ground has shifted. The state will evaluate actual practice and whether human rights are infringed. And the final decision will follow procedural review. The community has opportunity to correct deficiencies. So JW.org, they could make changes and allow gay marriages. And denials can be appealed to the administrative court. So, they're going to appeal it under freedom of religion. We get the choice of doing what we want in our church. So in short, multiple JW practices are likely under scrutiny. It is not certain they will be disqualified, but the risk is real under the new strict regime. So that's where we're at today, folks. They're being looked at, and it's just going to be a matter of time to see this all wash out in the wash, all come out in the wash. Okay, well, that's all I have for you on Sweden. So until next time, keep living your life with love. We'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.